And welcome back to PSA TV. This is the Wake Up Call. Joining me on the line right now, I have senior economist Dr. Vaalmilki Arjoon. Good morning to you, Dr. Arjoon.
Good morning to you, and good morning to all your viewers.
How are you this morning?
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. And you?
Not too bad at all. All right, so let's get straight into it. An article in today's newspaper indicates that the International Monetary Fund warns of a slowdown, in particular the Latin America and the Caribbean is slowing down, and the region is expected to record a 0.2% growth this year. And zeroing into Trinidad and Tobago, we see here that in reviewing the economic performances of the Caribbean countries, the IMF said that Trinidad and Tobago will record no economic growth this year, down from the 0.3% from the previous year. Some alarming figures and something to be concerned.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, it's no surprise given in my view, worsening trade wars with the US and China, first and foremost. I mean, what we've seen since August is that the yield curve in both the US and the UK would have inverted. And that is an indication, a strong indication of a looming global recession that is in the horizon, right? This is not to be alarming anyone, but we have to consider that the last 7 US recessions, and by extension global recessions, have been predicted by an inverted yield curve several months in the past. So this is something that we need to pay careful attention for. With respect to Trinidad and Tobago, again, it is no surprise given our faltering economic policies and by extension management of the economy in the last few years that we are likely to record zero growth in this particular year. And I might add, especially because of certain shortfalls in our gas production next year than what we initially would have anticipated earlier. We're likely to return to negative growth next year unless the non-energy sectors can pull their weight and compensate for any shortfall in the gas production next year, which I highly doubt is going to happen, because if you remember, BPTT was supposed to meet a certain supply of the Atlantic LNG, so to Train 1 specifically, but in 2020 and 2021, there's going to be most likely a shortfall on the part of BPTT to Train 1 of about 300 million standard cubic feet of natural gas per day. And if we consider how our GEP, our national output, is calculated, if there's a shortfall in gas production, then that means there's going to be a shortfall in our total output, which in turn translates into a shortfall into your overall real GDP.
Yeah.
So what we're going to find next year, again, is either very, very limited growth or, as I anticipated, some form of negative growth again.
And even when you compare this now to what the IMF has projected for Guyana, we've seen here that Guyana is projected to record economic growth of 4.4% this year, up from 4.1%. Now, traditionally, Guyana has been, known as a country where economic growth was not so prevalent, but what we're seeing over time is increased economic activity, which has now boosted economic growth.
Certainly, and a large portion of that increased economic activity, I mean, their oil production hasn't even come on stream yet, but a large amount of that economic activity has really stemmed from their increase in foreign direct investment over the past few years. Now, this foreign direct investment hasn't just come from perhaps its biggest global player, which is Exxon. It would have come from other countries from within the region, and perhaps the United States as well, investing in Guyana in an attempt to take advantage of any opportunities that they can get their hands on whenever their oil and gas production, particularly more so the oil production, does come on stream very soon. So this has largely accounted for their increase in their growth. And of course, when their oil production does come on stream, and in the very near future, we're going to see a surge in their economic growth as well. And that is not just Guyana. It's with Jamaica. The Jamaican economy is doing very, very well.
Yeah.
And that is largely because they have taken several important steps to improving the ease of doing business in Jamaica. we, on the other hand, would have declined in the ease of doing business by over 40 places since the year 2012, 2013. Back then, we were ranked about 62nd position globally in how easy it was to do business in the world. Now we're ranked about 105th position globally. So it has become more difficult, more obstacle riddled in Trinidad and Tobago for doing business as compared to other economies in the Caribbean, more specifically so in Jamaica. So these are other impediments that are going to be in our way of any sort of economic growth that we could potentially achieve. So it's no wonder that the IMF has predicted that Trinidad and Tobago is going to have zero growth again in this particular fiscal year. Um, they put it at zero growth, but it's going to be very interesting to see what happens again next year because we're going. Remember, we have been in a position of negative growth
Yeah.
since the year 2015. Now, 2015, 2016. In fact, we've recorded a very significant economic decline back in 2016 of about negative 6%. And if one were to consider the data, if we go back to how our economy has evolved since the year 2015, we declined by 8.5% since then. Our economy has regressed, you could say, by about 8.5% since the year 2015, which means we're no better than where we were back then. We're actually much worse off than where we were back then.
Yeah.
If we look at the perspective of a foreign investors have actually left our shores since then. And in fact, our foreign direct investment, it's in a negative zone. It's around the area of about negative 180 million US dollars, which means that investors are pulling out of Trinidad and Tobago.
And speaking of the ease of doing business, what we've seen yesterday into today is the closure of 25 Unipet gas stations. Now, how in your capacity, how will this impact the economy of the country?
Well, first and foremost, their margins are quite low, and it's been very low for quite some time now. So I tend to empathize with gas station owners, not just Unipet gas station owners, but also NP gas station owners, because I happen to be aware that a significant number of them have been sustaining losses for quite a while now. One, and two, whatever monies they're making from their gas station is not directly from the gas station itself. It's really from whatever little quick shop they may
Yeah.
be running simultaneously with the gas station. Those who are running a little quick shop there, that is what is assisting some of them in making some money for the month. But I just want to emphasize, there's not a lot of money here. Whichever ones of them are making any sort of revenue from it,
Yeah.
it is a very small amount of revenue. But now when you come to the fact that I mean, I was seeing it yesterday when I was driving home from work. Many NP gas stations were packed up with there were long lines of cars
Oh, wow.
outside there, which means which now is going to translate into people having a shortage of gas a temporary a small shortage of gas within the economy. One and two, you would find that this is going to hit the productivity for many workers within the country as well. Because if you have to wait in a long line to get gas, one, and two, there may be others who might choose to, okay, well, I have to wait for quite a while to get gas. My car needs gas. Maybe I might just call in work sick today, or make up some excuse and not bother to go to work today until we can ride this closure of some of these gas stations until it's over. So
Yeah.
these are some of the other possible effects of what is happening now. I think the government need to they need to this has been happening for too long now. These very thin margins that gas station owners are reaping. I think they need to really take this seriously and relook into the margins that these gas station owners are able to get on a monthly basis.
All right, Dr. Arjoon, I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning on the Wake Up Call. Thank you so much and do have a great day. All right, so that was the senior economist, Dr. Vaalmilki Arjoon, joining us there, commenting on the closure of 25 gas stations they were forced to shut down. and also commenting on the IMF's projection for this country.